Hey everyone, I wanted to do a Q&A video, but I didn't want you guys to just be staring at me while I answered questions. That seems sort of boring. So I had some footage of me getting the shop ready for the Suburban. I got some work to do on it, and I'm also putting in a metal draw system that used to be my grandfather's, then it was my father's, now it's mine, and then a workbench. So I figured I would just overlay this stuff. So you got a Q&A video and see me working on the shop. Let's get started. Again, I should point out that these are comments or questions that were in the comment section of some of the videos, and I replied to these people already, but I thought they were good enough where it might be smart to just reply to them on a video. First one, Matt Schultz, he said that the steering wheel buttons, you can get those on a tradesman in the safety group. I didn't realize that. That's interesting. You get a tradesman and you get the safety group, which I guess has a whole bunch of other things. It comes with the steering wheel buttons, which is really cool. I did some research on that. Since you can get them on a tradesman, maybe that means you could put them in aftermarket, meaning it's already wired. And it looks like you can. The problem is you got to remove the steering wheel. The plastic piece that houses the buttons is bolted into the column, and you have to remove the steering wheel to get to those bolts. Pretty horrible stuff there. This guy, New Mason, says 2022 Bighorn doesn't come with a dampened tailgate. Now I mentioned this is two things that I mentioned in that video where I was addressing some comments about how I should have bought a Bighorn, and I said that 4 things were solved with a Bighorn, and one was the steering wheel buttons. Turns out you can get them on a tradesman, and also the other thing was that you get a dampened tailgate. Well, it looks like the Bighorn didn't come with a dampened tailgate, so in reality I couldn't have solved that. I didn't even realize that. Now it may have been 2022 only. I'm not sure. Maybe if somebody's got a 2021, they can let me know that. But it looks like Bighorn didn't come with a dampened tailgate. If you go back to that video, which was like the secret upgrade video, which is a pretty good video as far as views are concerned and likes. I used to have tradesman written in the title, but once I found out that the Bighorn doesn't come with it, I removed tradesman. So now it just says Ram 2500. All right, Chris K, you can move the solenoid box on the Badland. So this is interesting. Chris is saying that when I bought that Badland winch, and I said it didn't fit actually by a good inch and a half, I think at least. I can move the solenoid box on that Badland to somewhere else in the car, and that would have made the winch fit. I would have obviously had to lengthen some wires, and I asked him if it voided the warranty. He said it doesn't void the warranty, so that's pretty cool. So that's interesting info. If you wanted that Badland winch and you didn't have a big enough spot for it, you can move the solenoid boxes on top. Julio Roman, he said the momentary switches are good for an air horn. Yeah, that's a good suggestion there. What he means is that the auxiliary switches that are in the Snow Chief group, you get 1 through 6, right? Well, there's a feature where you can make the switches into momentary switches, where you have to hold the switch for it to be activated. And I really didn't know what I could use that for. And he says use it for an air horn. It's true. I could put one of those crazy freaking train horns on there. Blow people's windows out. Yeah, I can do that. That's true. So BD Hayes 63. Won't the fender flares catch mud too? So this is a really good question. And I thought a lot about this actually before this comment. And what he's saying is that I removed the mud guards because, one, it made installation of the fender flares look easy, but also because they catch mud. As it won't the fender flares catch mud too? They probably won't catch that much mud because the tires are throwing the mud at a specific angle that goes right into those mud guards. That's why the mud guards exist. I don't think it's going to be that high. They might get a little mud in them, but I also have the rubber, that rubber U-channel around it, which seals it up pretty good. So there might be a chance, but nothing like the mud guards at all. Sticking with the fender flares, is Brew Ram said no rubber will scratch the paint. He left the rubber pieces off those fender flares, and he wants to know if that plastic piece is going to scratch the paint. Now, because I left the rubber piece off too. I left it off for at least a week or so, maybe a week and a half. I don't think it will. It's just plastic. I don't think that's going to do anything, especially if you got a brand new truck and where the clear coat is still good. But if some dirt gets in there because you don't have those rubber pieces or little pebbles or something could get stuck, yeah, you might have a problem. if the plastic is rubbing up against some pebbles that are rubbing up against the paint. I just told him to keep it clean and order those rubber pieces. If you go click into that video, I link you to some U-channel where it's like $35 with tax. It's like 30 feet of this U-channel. Works great. Easy to install. Adam Barber, he had a couple comments. He said, what rims are standard? Now, the rims that come with a 2500, because he said he bought the same one as mine, they come with 17 by 7.5. But if you get the Snow Chief group or the off-road, or I think the chrome package, you're required to upgrade to 18 by 8. And if you get the Snow Chief group, obviously you get those all-terrain tires. Not great tires, but you do get all-terrain tires. He also said that he needs to solve the mirror issue too. I have not solved the mirror issue. What is the mirror issue? Well, it's these rearview mirrors. They're zoomed in so far you can see, you count the nose hairs and the people behind you. It's ridiculous. And I really have been trying very hard. I even ordered a couple of rearview mirrors from different cars because I thought that they might fit. It turns out that they were zoomed in too, because it's a very big mirror. So usually what happens is that these big mirrors are zoomed in because they're for a big vehicle, which they think is towing, so they zoom them in. What you really need is those objects are closer than they appear type. Convex is what it's called, a convex mirror. And I can't find one that's the right shape, unfortunately. It's driving me nuts. But I'm going to keep at it, and I will solve it. I'm going to solve it. I probably will have to solve it before February because I'm going away for 2 weeks. I can't have my wife drive the car all the time. Even though she has driven it, she hasn't really complained about it. But I bet you if I pointed it out, she'd be like, these mirrors, I can't drive the truck anymore. So I'm not going to, hopefully she doesn't watch these videos. That's what I need. All right, I hope I'm saying his name right. Addy, I assume Addy, and then Overbeek, I believe is his last name. He said that the cold could degrade the adhesive on that yellow tint that I'm using on my lights. So if you watch that video where I changed the light color from clear to yellow, I put tint on those lights, which has an adhesive on it, but tint goes on the inside usually, and this is on the outside. There's a possibility that maybe the cold will make that adhesive fail and then it could fall off. I don't know. It's possible. I will let everyone know. If it does fall off, again, this is only $6 tint, so it's pretty cheap stuff. Let's see what happens. So far, we've had a lot of freezing temperatures. Now, I have kept the truck in the garage a lot, but I've driven in the cold. I've driven in snow. I drove a couple hours today in the snow, so no problems yet. I will keep my eye on it, though, for sure. Red Spain. You can use the backup camera while you're driving. Okay, now, so he made this comment, you can use the backup camera while driving. Somebody replied to him and said, how do you do that? He never replied, so I figured it out, and it's a little misleading, this comment. You can go to controls and click view backup camera while you're driving, and it'll stay on for maybe 3-4 seconds, and then it will disappear. It'll turn back because the system won't allow you to watch a screen while you're driving. It's just, they don't allow that at all. So it'll only stay on for a few seconds. It's good to check a trailer. That's really it. Brian Snedden, I think that's how you say it. Did I see a ride quality difference with the springs and shocks? Now, I have a video about this subject ready to go, and it's basically how to make your 3/4 ton truck ride better, like the cheapest way you can, not like put in a $5,000 air ride system. But the short answer that I gave Brian was yes. My truck right now is riding great. It's riding awesome, but I've done a bunch of things to it, and I talked about this in the walk around video. Is that I did I did the sway bar, I did the springs, I did the shocks, but I also did the bumper with the winch. And if you think the bumper with the winch doesn't help ride quality, it does. It loads up that suspension so much that it takes a real bump to bounce that truck. Yes, springs and shock are going to help a little bit. The sway bar is going to help for sure if you combine those two things together. But if I had to pick between the two, between let's say the springs and shocks and the sway bar, I would definitely say springs and shocks. And I would also say don't cheap out and just get the shocks, because it's not going to do anything for you. It's just not going to do anything for you. It's you need the springs too, without a doubt. And the last thing was Jason B says no teasers for the second part of the truck build. And here's the problem. I didn't want to, the way lead times are going is that I really didn't want to say, oh, I'm getting something in a month or I'm getting something in 2 months, and then not get it for like 6 months, because you just never know what's going to happen. So I haven't said anything yet. It really does look like the big part of the second, phase of the project is going to happen. Like it's going to happen like any day now, but I need it in my hands. I need it to happen before I actually say anything. And it's just, I just respect your guys' time. Really, I don't want to say something and get it screwed up, and then having to say, oh, geez, it's still on its way. It's still, you always hear people saying that. Now, I respect your guys' time. When I have it, you're gonna find out about it, and it's gonna be great. That's really the only thing I can say. So that's it. I want to do these videos more. Obviously, I think I need more questions to do them more often. And I'm definitely not at the point where I could do these once a week, but I don't know, maybe once a month. We'll see what happens. These were some decent questions, and I think this is a good way to test the, this, video format, I guess you could say. All right, everyone. See ya.